G'day everyone, this is Rangadad. This is not financial advice, just the way I'm looking at the market. So, about to finish October, eh? Have a quick look at the monthly. I mean, any close above 71,380 is going to be super bullish, you would think. Closures below that would be interesting, but we've got a couple of days left, weekend left. I think we should be fine to break out. Now, do have to be a little bit careful about what happens around this breakout level. 2 days looking good as well. Daily. So it's kind of what I've been waiting for, is to actually see a vector. Most other breakouts you see have a vector pretty close to when it actually starts to break out. Like breaking out of this high here, vector candle. Breaking out of the low, there was plenty of vector candles. You just want to see that like really decent volume commitment happen. And it looks like we do have that. Very different sort of momentum at the lows here compared to what we got now, which you'd kind of expect. I mean, that's Bitcoin was, people were calling 10K Bitcoin and stuff at that point, and it was not a great time to be confident in Bitcoin. Now, the breakout over here, this was effectively the proper breakout. As you can see, we actually had something relatively similar to what we just had. Pull up, bit of a pullback, looks worse than what it's actually going to be. Same sort of thing. We pulled back a little bit further, back into the neutral sort of zone on the momentum, but yeah, breakout after some pretty decent increasing volume. And then it never actually looked back. Is that what we're going to get? Now, this was the first breakout of sort of the consolidation range, which is pretty well what we're in now. Oh, wow. It only goes back to there. Need the actual index just with me. Thought bybit was around longer than that anyway. Let's go back. Fuck, I don't know what I was doing around here. Something. Oh, I think I used this as a something I was looking at. So all-time highs were here. And we actually got right at the peak a couple of bumps in the road, I guess. But once we did actually break that, and look, this could be similar to this sort of situation here. You want to see that rising volume, you want to see the vector candle, and then potentially just straight up. Now, obviously, it stopped here for a week or so before moving higher. I'm expecting something very similar to this, if not even a bigger pullback. It's hard to tell with this much sort of Wall Street money in the game now. But, once you're hitting all-time highs, it can do some fake outs. So last time we sort of ran right up to it, pulled back, ran back up to it, broke it, fake out, tried again, bigger pullback, and then break out. Very different situation. That was sort of after a decent run up already, too. So, if you bought the dip there, that's nearly 100% gain. Now, we've had nearly 100% gain this year in Bitcoin. From this bottom here, what am I doing? From this level here to all-time high is actually 200% gain. So obviously we're looking at a different beast. We've never had a consolidation this big. I mean, that's a gigantic bull flag if this is a confirmed breakout, which looks like it is going to be, but you can see there, just similar sort of structure. Get everyone's hopes up, pull back, wipe out some of the longs, get everyone's hopes up again, break through, get lots of FOMO money in, and then break everyone's dreams again. Wouldn't surprise me, but at the moment, obviously this is a pretty decent breakout, and BBWP is increasing, stochastic momentum is increasing. I'm not actually sure this ADL is relative to crypto. I think it's more just stocks in general. Just see if it's a different. See, it's weird. Moving similar for SPY, but just not quite the same. So I'm not exactly sure what that's referencing. I had a look at it today too, and it doesn't actually tell you in TradingView info. But anyway, good volume here both days. Jolts, really? The market still went up on lower job openings. Okay, I'll have a look into that in a second. But so basically, yeah, I think taking profits on the way up, looking for decent profit-taking signals, and buying the dips is going to be the play for the next year, probably, unless noted otherwise. I did targets. I did look at some targets again. Looking at around the 82,000 if we break through and keep going. So there's probably going to be a fair bit of resistance around the 75 level. Obviously, we found pretty good resistance here, but we've also chewed up a lot of the big orders that were in the system. So one thing to keep in mind, we've started dropping open interest a little. I thought that was a decent peak yesterday. That was showing up as being quite a big peaking signal, but obviously this one today is even bigger. They are relative to what you can see on the chart, so kind of a little bit hard to judge in this case, but that's not a bad sort of topping signal. And just the fact that we've gotten rid of a lot of the bigger orders that have been in for some time, and the orders above here have really only been there for a few days. Like, some of these orders that were up the top have been in for half a month. Can it push through? Go new all-time highs, just keep running? Yes. ETF inflows will probably have a part to play in that, if that's the case. It's just we need to be a little bit careful. Taking profits and buying dips is not a bad way to go as long as you're actually seeing a proper take profit signal. And what does that look like, I guess? One, it's actually pulling back from a key region, which it kind of has. I am kind of expecting it to at least hit that new all-time high and go into that 74K area, just because there is still a fair bit of liquidity there. Now, quick pullback, a wick up into that could see us keep going. You got to go out to the yearly chart on this to actually pick up all the liquidity that came in at the peak here. That's how long we've been freaking in this range for. Just disgraceful. 23rd of February is the start of this chart. Anyway, over 8 months. So we do have to watch out for fake outs. Like, this looks more like a bull flag than it does a Wyckoff distribution, but a Wyckoff distribution can have fake outs to the upside, and then you actually go big time to the downside. Don't think that's going to happen. It's just something you got to be mindful of, and it's another reason why you sort of take profits when they're on the table. Unless you're just going to hodl, and now's not a bad time to be hodling, to be honest. You know, fair bit of liquidity all the way up into the 90s. I do think somewhere around the 80K mark. I did another projection of somewhere around 84 from memory. 83, 84 was another target that popped up just as a proofing system I was looking at. So yeah, I don't think it's just going to be moonshot straight into that level. If it is, I would be definitely expecting some sort of pullback there. Love to see a little bit of confirmation of the breakout, but as I showed before, that doesn't necessarily happen. Once Bitcoin's breaking to new all-time highs, I am actually running a little short at the moment off the top. I took profits on the way up last night. I think my last take profit was around 72-ish. Not expecting to hold that short very long, and I'm stop loss is already in profit. So have a quick look at some of these other indicators. Yeah, there's a bit of a sell. Could get some support here, which it seems to be at the moment, but I actually expect this to pull back a little bit further. Time being, been checking out some extra indicators to see whether they'd be useful for helping with this strategy. So I have had a take profit signal fire on this indicator. It's a great indicator for these sort of runs. It hasn't been calibrated for Bitcoin at the moment. That's the uncalibrated version. So take this for what it's worth, but it is good on the breakouts at holding profit. So yeah, I'll probably wait until I get another signal from this to jump back in to the upside. So yeah, just be careful around here. Not bad levels to buy the dip. moving into the mid band of the Bollingers. If we break below the mid band of the Bollingers, so pretty much where we're at now, if we close another candle below the previous one, it'll probably come back down to the other side of the Bollinger Bands, which is sitting at around 71. It's probably going to be around 71,800-ish by the time it gets there. That will soak up some of these vectors in here. Volume is dropping, though, to the downside as well. So this is signs that the big guys are taking profits. When you're seeing sort of big volumes and candles bearish engulfing and stuff like that, you know, it's a pretty good sign that there's some profit taking going on. Got a fair chunk of liquidity in this area, so I think shorter term, not necessarily straight away, although it looks pretty hungry for the downside at the moment. Not necessarily straight away, but I do think this is a potential pullback target back into the 71,200s. I'm not like, if this is a new all-time high breakout, go to the next level, just keep going up. I'm not expecting it to really come down much past this. The reason why is because that would sit around the middle of this vector candle. And if we're truly in bull market, let's go to the moon. I don't expect us to be really recovering all of this vector. Not yet. That's probably going to be a conversation for when the economy shits itself and everything tanks. For the time being, wicks on probably the next candle. Could do it now, to be honest. Like, there was, I'm not going to go back to it, but if you saw it, there was a decent wick to the upside on one of the previous breakout vectors. Actually, I think it was one from this year, but so we could get this candle finishing down in here. That'd be fine, but yeah, short-term time frame is going to tell you whether that's going to reverse or not. And yeah, there should be a fair bit of support here around these sort of levels. Around that 71,200. So that's kind of what I'm looking at the moment for Bitcoin. Some of the DMIs are about to cross, the shorter time frame ones. Pretty good downside signal. I would suggest, you guys don't have this indicator yet, but typically this is the TDI, like a modified TDI. And typically when you're breaking out of the bands and closing back within, then that's a pretty good sign that the move's finished. This one here, we still got a little bounce that gave us some bearish divergence at the tip here. So that was a pretty good signal that we were heading down. But for the most part, it showed that the run was pretty well over. So if this closes back inside this band here, then I'll be taking profit on my short and potentially opening a long, to be honest. I'll probably wait a little bit for confirmation, but long term, this DMI has been bullish for a long time. We haven't actually crossed the long time frame DMI that I got on here. Yeah. The other thing is this, like, the RSI is pretty well overheated on Bitcoin, so pullbacks are not unexpected, but trying to short it thinking that it's going down to 68 or something, that's pretty ballsy. I think I've got to take profits at around 72k, just because you got the 50 EMA in there as well, and it has respected the 50 most of the way up here. But it's also respected in the last few pumps. It's respected the mid band of the Bollingers that I got here. So the fact that we look like we're going to break below that, firm break below that, would suggest lower targets are probable. All right, I'll have a quick look at NASDAQ and stuff because I'm a little surprised they're breaking the ranges just off the back of Jolt's job openings. Okay. Yeah, looks like it's earnings driven market at the moment. Equal weight queues is kind of going with it, which is handy. Yes, yeah. The SPY is going okay. Coming off lows on the BBWP, and stochastic momentum will cross the upside probably tomorrow if we get another update. That's fairly bullish. Equal weight's still coming down a bit, so that's suggesting we're climbing the wall of worry, and the big guys are still sort of holding up the market at the moment. IWM inside day, so that had fairly big downside in the aftermarket or the pre-market, but a bounce here would kind of play in with this trend line that we had yesterday. Advanced decline line being still kind of postured to the downside is a little concerning as well, but one good update across the market and that should change. So the Russell's struggling a little. That's probably signs that a little bit more of a cause for concern. XLI is still coming down. I'd like to see a turn on that as well before this thing baffling me. XLY, XLP is still charging to the upside. Just another part of the equation suggesting that this pullback might just be across the smaller stocks and a pullback in time for the big indices. So KRE is still reasonably strong. Momentum's still to the downside, but again, it's kind of holding sideways. ITB, wow, that really fell off a cliff. It's bounced, but what happened there? Jesus. It's like Jim Cramer said to buy it. Just died. DJR Gold is still going down. So again, this is definitely a bearish signal. It is DJR is coming down still, gold's still going up. VIX is flat. Look at the skew from yesterday. So the skew didn't pump and just came back a little bit yesterday. I'd expect that to probably come down a little bit again. Will be fairly flat. If we do get a spike on this, then upside's more likely. At the moment, it's just everything seems to be kind of undecided coming into the election. The only thing that seems to have made up its mind is Bitcoin at the moment. Yeah, Chinese market's still coiling sideways. Called this yesterday that Japanese market was looking pretty good. Had another good day yesterday. Probably coming into a bit of resistance, fairly highly traded volume in here, highly traded level. Just be interesting to see how that travels. But TLT's had a bit of a bounce on pretty decent volume. A lot of buying interest at the moment. High yield junk has kind of stayed flat, but had a fairly positive day after starting lower. So it's trending to the upside as well. So this is kind of suggesting there's support for the market to go up. Again, a little bit of flip-flopping. I'd kind of trust this market a little bit more than some of the other indicators. Yields look like they might be finally topping. So if these start to come down, expect the market to go up. Copper looked like it was going to sort of break out and have a decent move to the upside yesterday, and it's pulled back. So yeah, it's pretty meh. Gold, new all-time high, good breakout. Glad I didn't end up selling out of gold. I think I'm just going to hold it, to be honest. It's in pretty heavy profit at the moment. I'll wait for a decent crash on the market and signs of a pullback, because gold will pull back with the rest of the market as well, typically in big crashes. So don't just think gold will not crash. It will. It just doesn't necessarily drop as hard as what the stock market will. Silver, decent day, still hasn't broken the higher yet. I would expect it to, though, some stage soon. US oil, this is looking pretty nasty, actually. If this gaps up again, then island reversal, hooray to the upside. For the time being, though, this oil kind of needs to hold this level as much as possible, because otherwise it's coming down. You're talking 60s and even into the 50s, which wouldn't be a bad thing for people that have cars. But this is definitely failed, that one. Again, I still think this is probably manipulated going into the election. Same with the strength in the US dollar, but that looks like it's due to roll over, which will help stocks. Aussies coming down hard still. Oh, that's today. So we get our CPI indicator today. It'll be interesting to see what the Aussie does in that case. So if we get a high read and they keep interest rates higher for longer, then that'll probably bounce. But if we get a low read and they talk about reducing interest rates, then that could potentially slip further. We did actually point out there is a big ass wick here that might be a target for price at some stage. Be surprised if it just dives straight into that level, but wait and see what happens. Certainly not looking good at the moment. Japanese yen's holding a little bit. Euro is still holding this base, so that's looking good for a coil and then a bounce. Again, it could just be all lead into the election. Percentage of stocks above the 50-day moving average yesterday did increase. It'd be interesting to see what it is today, but that's not a bad little bounce there, suggesting a bit of breadth in the move, or in yesterday's move anyway. Mag 7 pretty flat. Mainly Tesla's having a bit of a pullback. Nvidia's still sitting pretty strong. Where's Nvidia's earnings? Yeah, we're still not close to that. Apple's got earnings in the next couple of days. Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. Bit of consolidation at the highs here could lead to a pretty decent move in either direction. Amazon, it's got earnings coming up. Meta, earnings tomorrow by the look of that. Yeah. So big earnings week this week. A little concerning that Meta's pumping into it. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Decent day for AMD as well. I thought I had Alpha. Let's add Alphabet. What is the difference between those? We'll do that one. So Google has had its earnings, I believe. Oh no. Oh, it's after the close. So Google will be having earnings soon. Oh no, it's already had it. It's pumped. Yeah. So people liked Google's earnings. Ah, nice little fake out their downside before the close, but generally, yeah, expect someone had some inside news. As market was buying into it. Decent pullback, but moves like that at the moment tend to have a little bit of follow through in the next trading session. So good buying in the aftermarket is probably going to be around 175. All right, go back to the daily. Geez, it nearly closed. Oh, it might have actually closed that gap, doing something similar to what Tesla did after its earnings. Tesla closed a big gap. It's also leave a gap. All right, that'll do. The market's looking shaky, but still some underlying strength. Certainly nothing to really suggest that we're going to have a major pullback before more upside. Ethereum, bit of a pullback there. No vector candle on this move either. It was getting a bit of love yesterday though, so it's just been smashed off the bottom of this channel again. Ethereum's like a bastard child at the moment. Just I don't know about. Even Sol's having a bit of a pullback today. That's probably a little surprising more than anything. It has had a pretty good run up, but I would also have expected it to keep going with Bitcoin running. Most of the alts have actually had a pretty good day. Bit of pullback though. Some of these. Poor old Polygon. Jesus. Yeah, this is interesting. So Doge is having a run on a few things. I think Doge will be a pretty good coin in the bull run. Litecoin's sort of going with Bitcoin. Shiba Inu's kind of, yeah, that'll be an interesting one. But some of these alts like Polkadot should be a decent gaming related coin. XRP is basically a stable coin at the moment. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of these, I'm going to have more of a look in the next few weeks at some of these altcoins just to see which ones I look to shift some money into if we do sort of break out. Quant is one that I would definitely will want to look at, just because I know it's a pretty decent project. I like the tech that they're working on with this. Sorry, just another thing to point out. The global liquidity has jumped in the last couple of days as well. So that could be fueling a bit of this, a bit of the market support. DO is definitely one. I did buy some in these bottom, just because I think that's going to be a pretty decent game, and it's just been punished. So the guys are still building. Playable game at the moment. UIDX. This should go all right. A lot of these coins, they are facing off with big double bottoms on monthlies and stuff. So testing all-time lows. KDA is always, I was looking at that last cycle. Something to keep on the list. Not sure the narrative will play out on that one, but anyway, a lot of coins have look like they're pumping. They're doing decent numbers the last couple of days, but you look at their charts on the daily, and a lot of them have a hell of a long way to go before all-time highs, and it just looks like a blip, like a little bit of grass on the bottom. So just keep that in mind. Some of these will pretty well be dead too, but a couple that came back at all. Waves should be dead, should be, but not. Low its open price. Spell was a massive favourite last pool. Anyway, that's enough. I gotta do some work. I'll do more of a look at some of these in next week or two. All right, catch you later.